Yeah. No, the conversation yesterday was great. Hey, Six. Hi, guys. So let's see. So now it's 12 o'clock on the nose when we usually start our conversation.
So yesterday we left off with qualities of good submissives. Today's question is characteristics of DS, positive characteristics of DS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this qualities of good submissives and what we shared yesterday in positive examples of being a top, being a dominant mentor, a femdom, primal dom, all the different layers to it.
Yeah.
So I'll jump into these.
Okay.
And I'll read some, and we can talk about how they apply to both sides of it.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Because it's not necessary.
Yeah, the good qualities of doms are here and subs are here. So there's qualities on both sides of the slash in these notes.
Yeah.
So if you want to start with the sub side. Perfect.
So acceptance is the first one. And this is the ability to see and accept yourself for who and what you are, be they your good points or your bad ones. This includes knowing your limitations, yet knowing, keeping that thought that things can change and knowing you will change as well. This is the ability to let yourself be who you are, to take pride and pleasure in the person you are, and not lose that acceptance because someone said you are not what you know you are.
That is true on both sides of the slash, right? You know, we were talking about that yesterday, how if you're newer in the community, you run into people who want to tell you what you should be or who you should be. And if you know yourself, you can stand in the face of that and be like, no, you don't have to take it on when someone else tries to decide for you. What does it mean to be a good submissive? Or if you were a good submissive, you would blank. And there's a lot of that out there, right? Like we run into that. And
someone had said the one true way. Right? There isn't.
No, there is no one true way. I don't care what anybody says.
So this shirt is actually a Nasty Pig shirt, 6, and it got discontinued years ago, but I had my logo put on it because I was like, it's fucking badass. It's like a little Jedi hoodie. I don't know where they got it made because
it is cool.
I like the build of it. I've had it for at least
cool
8-9 years.
Yeah. It's nice and soft and worn in. I like that about it.
Yeah, I really can't stand that phrase, the one true way.
Because listen, one true way is a bad phrase no matter what realm we're in, you know.
Well, unless you're
a cult leader?
No. Jedi, what's his name? What's this guy's name? Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah. This is the way. If you're a Mandalorian, okay, you can have a one true way. But that's a voluntary sort of sign on.
All right, so the next is communication. This is the ability to talk openly and honestly about what is in your heart and mind, your opinions and beliefs, your needs versus your wants, your responses or reactions, basically to be able to talk about everything. The ability also calls into play the honesty of the submissive and the dominant. Open communication has been established. Once open communication has been established, it should remain that way and will do so provided the submissive does not stop communicating honestly. But that's both ways.
Yes, it is.
It's absolutely both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that peace. It's got to be the peace sign for the balloons.
Oh, wow.
And my example to that is when I was managing the information that Karma was getting one time, and she found out she wasn't happy, and she was like, "Are you going to trust me or not?"
Right.
And it was like, well, thanks for making me putting me in my place, and rightfully so. The way all that fell together, and it changed everything for me because I needed to be corrected, and I wasn't being honest with that circumstance.
Yeah.
I was being partially honest, but I was managing the information because I thought in the long run that would be what was better suited for the circumstance, and it wasn't.
Right, because I think you were trying to manage the feelings of
the
other person,
around,
right, rather than letting them do it themselves. I also, this whole communication thing keeps ringing true with me in the last few days because I've done some more work and realized that there's things I'm not showing up and telling the truth about how I feel and what's going on for me. I've let myself back myself into a corner around it, and I have to get out from behind it.
So to not communicate is to endanger yourself physically as well as emotionally. Communication need not always be verbal, just so long As what you need to say to your partner gets said to them, then the lines of communication stay open. For example, you may find a particular topic easier to write about in your journal and thus tell your partner that way.
Yeah.
This is still communicating.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, and we use that, right? Sometimes we write things that are easier. It's easier sometimes to just write and read than it is to try to have a face-to-face conversation, especially if it's a newer topic or a challenging topic. So that's a great tool. I've also heard that, I haven't used it myself, but in dynamics, sometimes the submissive is given a journal, and the journal is for them to put down anything they think and feel, and then they make time with their dominant to have open conversation. I think those are in more structured sort of dynamics, but
it works.
But there's a time that's created so the submissive will be able to say anything they think and feel without fear of reprisal or consequence from the dominant, even if they're wrong or it needs to be changed or whatever. It's a period of time to feel free to speak without worrying about punishment and whatnot.
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
It should be a house book. You make me do the dishes at 11 o'clock at night. Oh.
Okay.
My bad.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually more for Natalie. Courtesy, aka manners. This one is fairly self-explanatory, but many people have asked me for specifics on courtesy. Since the specifics of this one vary with each relationship, I will only address general manners. It is the ability to show proper courtesy by using please and thank you, addressing people with general respect and courtesy. Just be a good human being.
Really?
Right?
I mean...
Say please and thank you.
All the time, to everyone. Not just your dom or your sub.
And it goes the distance. It goes the distance. Another one is grace, one that I'm learning to dance with. This is another whose specifics vary with each relationship, but it's basically the ability to not appear stilted or halting in your movements. I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure this one is of major importance to many people, but I list it here anyway as it has come up frequently. Of course, this may be affected by physical limitations that will reduce its importance.
I think that one is so important. I mean, it said, of course, this may not be of major importance to many people, but I think being able to grant ourselves and each other grace is huge. It's a huge tool. It's a huge...
So what does that look like?
I think it means letting, like we talked about yesterday, I think it was, like if someone's learning something new and it doesn't look gracious as they're learning it, giving them the space, like not criticizing, not trying to cut short their process. It's like you grant people grace by letting them be themselves, misspeak, being patient, being tolerant, being kind. As a package to me is like grace.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
And believe it or not, there isn't a lot of grace within this lifestyle and community.
Right.
People aren't allowed to make mistakes. People aren't allowed to not have all the information. And there's a lot of offense taken by people's absence of information. So yes, grace is something that there needs to be a lot more of, because there isn't.
How much better would it be if everyone took that stance?
Listen, I'll run for president next cycle. There's a lot of shit on me though.
Well, then you'll fit right in.
I'll fit right in.
I'll fit right in.
So growth is the next.
Okay.
The ability to grow within. I'm thinking about the dead bear in Central Park now with RFK. All right. Growth. The ability to grow within yourself. Look for and attain new goals, be these mental, emotional, or physical goals. The ability to continue to grow and sharpen your abilities is very important as it prevents the relationship from stagnating. Helps you to grow as a submissive and dominant, and thus discover new ways to please and serve your partner. Yeah. And I have to change it because it's not just one way.
No, I agree.
These work, and they are important both ways.
Agreed. Yeah, I think growth again, and while we're keeping it into the realm of kink and power exchange right now, just translate that this translates to all areas of life. I believe that as human beings, we're either growing or we're dying. Like there is no such thing as standing still. You're either moving forward or you're moving behind. So I think growth is important.
Yeah, So what's the question again for today, Mama?
Positive characteristics.
Positive characteristics of DS.
And I think these are...
So there's a couple comments. I want to jump into TikTok.
Sure.
I write things down to be discussed at a later time. I do my best at that.
Yeah, when we're talking about journaling and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these work absolutely in both vanilla and lifestyle settings. Social etiquette is very important. Yes. The question that we're referencing is positive characteristics in DS. And then we have some comments here. Hi, welcome back, Missy. Giving people patience and kindness when they make mistakes, and everyone has their own learning process that may differ from ours. Grace. Awesome, Missy. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the next is honesty. Personally, I feel this shouldn't be need to be said. Yeah, it does. That's New York City sounds. All right. But there are far too many people who lack honesty, so it has to be said. Honesty is the ability to speak up, be open, and truthful about what you say. Don't hide your emotions, fears, limits, fantasies, ideas, and thoughts. Don't tell your partner what you think they want to hear. A successful partner is an honest person, one who does not lie, deceive, or intentionally manipulate. Honesty builds trust. Trust is the basis of the relationship. To lie breaks down the trust and therefore the relationship by removing its very foundation.
From the background that I come from, there's three kinds of honesty. There's the honesty or lie of omission, right? Where there's something you should be saying and you're not.
I keep forgetting.
Right? Then there's the lie of commission, right? Where you just, if you're asked a question and you give an untrue answer, even if it's born out of feeling a certain kind of way. And I relate to this a lot of times. When I'm uncertain what's going on with me or I'm afraid to speak and someone says, how are you doing? I just say, okay. When okay isn't really the most honest answer. So I didn't speak the truth in that case. But I actually, by saying I'm okay, I've also essentially lied. I could at least say I'm not okay and I can get back to you. I'm not okay and I don't have words for it. But sometimes I just do this knee-jerk default of like, are you okay? Or what's going on? Nothing, when nothing isn't really the right answer. And then the last of the three is what we call delusion, where you're actually lying to yourself. Sometimes you can't tell the truth or you say the wrong thing because you're not being honest with yourself. And honesty with yourself is the first place to start in all of this honesty.
It's hard to start there, though. That's probably the last place you start.
Okay.
It probably is, right? Because you will lie to yourself well beyond you lie to other people.
That's true. That's true.
And like that's the hard one to get. Like
Yeah.
That's like a seesaw.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's kind of like
when
a
that shit
yeah.
flips, though,
Yeah.
it's like. But it's a piecemeal thing. You can't just. It's not a switch.
No.
Like it doesn't.
It's a practice.
It's a practice, and it's hard because of the layers of honesty and integrity. It's like there's outright lying, then there's the omission, then what was the other one you said?
Yeah, there's delusion because you're not telling yourself the truth.
And it's like it's multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
Integrity is multi-dimensional.
Yes.
All right, so next is humility, my favorite. This is basically the ability to see yourself as valuable. A successful, dominant, or submissive knows they will make mistakes, that they are not perfect. A successful, dominant sub admits their mistakes and strives to correct them. Giving off an attitude of being better than anyone else is not a desired trait. Having a sense of pride is good, but humility is necessary to prevent one from being arrogant.
Right. And that shows up in places like, the sub competition, like who can be the biggest bottom, where we've seen that in the community, right? That's where that shows up. And then, the domliest dom, those are the places where people think more of themselves. Like there's no humility. Pride is actually arrogance in these cases, in both sides of the slash.
Yeah.
That happens, right? That whole like competition thing where subs sort of feel like who can take the most and who doesn't safe word, and all of that stuff is a type of hubris, a type of arrogance that ultimately like leads to getting hurt. and puts the dominant in the position of being the one that harms you ultimately if you don't know enough to stop when your limit says stop or should say stop.
Intelligence. By intelligence, I don't mean book smarts. The ability to do long involved mathematical equations or pull apart and rebuild the computer. As it applies to a successful dominant or submissive, intelligence is the ability to think for themselves. The ability to make informed decisions and who to submit to and just how far their submission goes. The ability to take the time to learn their partner outside the roles of dominant and submissive. To learn them as the person they are, their likes and dislikes. The ability to learn what pleases their dominant and submissive and remember those things.
Yeah.
Is this the same person that wrote this?
Yes, this is the same. This is all from this guy's amazing.
If
you go onto the website, there's so much anything you can want to hear about or read about is on that website. I was looking today.
It's funny because these are all sentences of things I've said all in one paragraph.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, someone's reading my mind at different times and they put it on a paper years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So 100% humility is needed in all relationships, super important in DS. I tell my boy that I will strive to always do my best, but please, please, please speak up. Right? If you can't have the conversation right now, you can say that and set a time to come back to it. Yes, that has to do with the emotional honesty stuff. I will put a special bracelet on the hook if I'm nonverbal and need to signal that I'm not doing okay. Wow.
I like that.
That's really great. Humility is huge for me. I value people who are always open to the possibility of being wrong. Video is frozen again. Do we need to turn off the...
There we go.
Thank you for letting us know. He's taking notes. It's the note taking.
Do you ever use the green pen?
No, if it's not working.
No, it's not that, but it's like you can't even see it writing.
Oh, yeah, leave it.
I'm such a baby.
You are.
I'll
There's
check
a
it
million
out.
different pens there. Get a black one. Don't throw out my green one because you didn't like it.
Listen, if we get enough roses, we can get more pens. No, I'll do it right here.
No, don't.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait. But I like talking about this stuff.
Okay.
Hold on, we'll come back to you. He was crushed for our...
Right.
No.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah, no, but listen, does that come back to humility?
It can.
There we go. Thank you.
All right, fair enough.
I'm still stuck on trying to write a special bracelet.
The special bracelet, yes.
Because I want to present that to Natalie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's an awesome idea.
Yes, Daddy's Addiction, the website is, what was it called? Let me
And I
pull
can
it up.
type it
It's
in.
called Bad Girls Bible.
Badgirlsbible.com.
Yeah, really, really good.
There you go. Oh, I attached it to the Wages on Jesus guy. My bad.
Well, that would be a good reference for them.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. So, actually, wages. What we're talking about is characteristics in good, dominant, submissive relationships. However, if you listen to them, and it being BDSM and kink and fetish related, these are all characteristics about being a good human being. And depending on your train of thought, your school of thought, a lot of this would be considered Christ-like, right? Because it's about being a good human being. So if you hang out with us a little bit longer, feel free to ask questions. And you'd be surprised how, in practice, BDSM is very much parallel to other traditional beliefs. So let's keep going down this list.
Fair enough.
Loyalty. Did I say loyalty already?
No, that's where we are.
This is a very important trait in a dominant and submissive. It is the ability to uphold your dominant submissive's rules over anything else, meaning boundary setting, agreements. A successful dominant or submissive will not act in a manner that will raise doubts about their commitment to each other. It is upholding your end of the bargain, made with your partner to the best of your abilities. This can also mean standing by your partner when difficulties arise. It can also mean, it means also standing when difficulties arise. This tends to come hand in hand with commitment, and both are necessary for a long-term relationship to survive.
Loyalty is huge for me.
Yeah. Obedience. Now, again, this is part of the submissive section, so I'm trying to adjust the language as it works for both.
Right.
And they're necessary for both sides of these power exchanges.
Agreed.
For them to work. Obedience. This is exactly what it is in everyday life. The ability to do what you were told. Within the power exchange relationship, this means willingly following the terms of your dominant. I'm going to read this through.
Yeah.
And doing what you were told. Willing obedience is pleasing to the submissive as well as the dominant. This can directly relate to the person's submissiveness. A submissive does not obey because they fear their dominant. They obey because they have an intense need to please the dominant. This does not mean blind obedience, meaning never question anything. Specifics regarding obedience do vary with each relationship, but obeying one's dominant is part of a power exchange relationship and is expected. I expect it. And I expect it as long as if I were to bump up against their morals, they would tell me.
Right.
If they saw a better way of doing it, they would tell me. Like,
that's huge for me, right? In all of the environments where I've been, where I sort of dictate what people are supposed to do, it's been thrown back up to me like my way of doing things is somehow idiosyncratic to me, and it's not, or that I'm married to my particular way of doing things in some arbitrary fashion, and I never am. I'm most wed to the best way of doing something, and if you have a better way, I offer you to show it to me, and I'm happy to change the way I do things in favor of a better way, a more effective way. Rant ended.
No. I took myself back
In time.
in time for a moment.
Yeah.
No, it. Last night, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was a feeling. It was a feeling in the body. Open mind. This is the ability to view things with a little present prejudice as possible.
Little preset prejudice.
Oh, I was like, yeah. Let me start that over. This is the ability to view things with as little preset prejudice as possible. To maintain the ability to learn new things and be open to trying something new or different. It directly complements growth.
I would agree. I think growth is only possible to the degree that we're open-minded. If you already think you know something, then you're not open to growing around it or learning something new.
And I think that falls on both sides of the slash too.
Mm-hmm.
Patience. You want to read that one?
Sure.
I'll read. I need to read it. Patience. This is the ability to wait for things. Being pushy is aggravating. This does not mean to push your most urgent needs aside, but to learn the difference between what is a necessity and what is not, and to convey these things. These things.
And I think patience, particularly, in the realm, as you were saying, like, oh, I need to read this, has to do with timing, right? Like, if one person's ability to get something, process something, and execute something is faster than the other person's, it doesn't make the faster person right, and it doesn't make the person that needs a little bit more time wrong. I believe patience needs to come in to allow people their own timing of their own process.
Pride, self-respect, self-esteem. This does not mean to be arrogant, just the knowledge of your ability. Knowledge and confidence, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Having a sense of pride in your abilities shows that you have a healthy sense of self-esteem, and your whole identity does not rely on another's point of view. A good submissive values themselves and respects their own limits. A good dominant and submissive values and respects their own limits. A solid sense of self-esteem is a necessity for a dominant and submissive, or they can become codependent with each other, relying on each other for their own mental picture of themselves. Humility is part of this as well.
Yeah, no, in another one of those, like, very honest admission moments that I have here on this call. First of all, I want to say so many layers to these questions, like my favorite lasagna is an awesome comment. But what I was going to say is, I feel like when I started my relationship with you, I was in a certain place in my life where there was a little bit of me depending on you in a way that is not as separated or like full of self-esteem. It's a little bit more like codependent upon the other person, and it's been a job of mine to roll that back, to be able to stand more on my own feet, to be able to have all of my own opinions, even when they are different from yours. And that's on me. That's on me because of the place that I was when our relationship started. There were just some things I defaulted to because I didn't have the headspace. I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to know myself in the way that I do now, and to be able to stand on my own 2 feet on all of the areas of life because of the space that I was in when our relationship started. And so some of those are habits that I've had to unlearn or break. And I'm in the process of doing that.
So many layers to these questions. Like my favorite is
lasagna. I love that.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, it's like, imagine that, and that's the thing about the we're actually going to turn it into the mastermind.
Right.
The 6-month program is going to be evolved into the mastermind program, and the mentorship is going to be a 6-week version of that. What we're learning through this current group is how deep each and every one of these questions are. And coming on here and talking each one for an hour, it's like you get so many broad strokes, and then you get finer strokes and finer strokes and finer strokes into the picture, where what you know about the language and your relationship to the words, it just changes everything.
Yeah. I mean, we have an opportunity here to really like get it down to the word level.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to just the concept level or the general understanding level.
And then we take this information, and it's like we reflect on it, on how it relates to us.
Yeah.
And it's not just definitions. It's
yeah,
like,
no. Listen, I've learned so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Missy, for saying that.
Yeah. Being aware that existential things may be happening and need to be paused to deal with it.
I was telling Kat the other day, I've learned so much of what I need to change, spotlights, blind spots in myself through these conversations. 20 what?
20 whatever days.
We've been doing this for 3 weeks now. It's like,
3.5, yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredibly empowering. It's incredibly humbling, right?
Yes.
And it's like the more I know, the less I know.
Agreed.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Respect. The ability to show respect through one's tone of voice, manners, and general attitude. A sub must respect their dom unless it is destroyed, and be respectful to others. This goes along with manners. Let me read this through. Showing respect to one's dominance should be at all times, and not just when the submissive feels like it. Yes, we have arguments in these relationships, but a submissive should strive to maintain a respectful demeanor even during such times.
I would say that's everybody.
Yeah.
I think that everybody should be treated with respect. Doms to sub, sub to doms, and all the people that you're in exchanges with. I don't think that because you are in the dominant role, I don't think as a boss you're entitled to be disrespectful to your employees.
Respect is respect.
Yeah.
It's universal.
Absolutely.
And it works upwards and it works downwards.
At least it should.
Service. See, and that's one of the things about the space that we hold, is if someone came into the space and was disrespectful, you're not welcomed back. Like, you gotta go with that energy.
Right.
Because that's not tolerated.
People have asked me recently about vetting. Like, do we vet? As if they're concerned that we would have an event where we didn't vet people. And I'm like, our vetting is a little bit different than most people's. Like, everybody's granted a pass. Like, you can show up. But between us, if you're a bad actor, we'll know right away, and we have no problem with telling you, I'm sorry, but this isn't the space for you. Or we're not the place for you.
Because I'm gonna meet you.
Right.
And I'm gonna talk to you.
Right.
And you can't avoid it because I'm the host and I
Right.
want to meet you. Hi, my name's Joshua.
Right.
So what brings you here?
And between us, we have radar for people who are not our people.
And that's
right?
the vetting process,
Yeah.
is I have to smell you.
Yeah,
I can't
I
smell
have-
you
right.
through the internet. So when people come in, I go like this.
Sure.
They pass. It's not how it
All
works.
right, not quite. No, but a few months ago we had that happen with somebody came into the space and they were all blustery and full of themselves and marched around the room. And between us, like I went to you, you went to them, and we
then,
sort of backed them. And they didn't have to leave, but they stayed backed into a corner for the rest of the night. They stopped stomping around like they owned the place.
Yeah. Crazy. Anyway, all right. Service. Willingly complete tasks, sexual or otherwise, set for you by your dominant. As well, to apply your observations to the things you do to please your dominant. Service usually points to these things outside of sexual ones in play sessions, such things as housework, cooking, and other things designed to make the home of the dominant more pleasing for them. Service can include tasks set for you by the dominant which do not fall under household chores. Perhaps the household budgeting is one task the dominant sets upon you, cooking his favorite meal, and many other things can be service. Basically, anything done with the direct intent to please the dominant in some manner can be seen as service.
Champ crowd. I thought that was funny.
Respect for both?
No. Wait. Did you really smell me?
Oh.
That was a joke. Not for nothing.
Well, I was like, wait a second. Oh, shit. That could look that way. That's pretty funny. And you have people you have taught. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice to virtually meet you both. Thank you, Missy.
Yeah.
Where can we find places like this? Well, we're in New York City. We have friends across the country who also hold space in their own ways, which are equally as safe and inviting.
And this is the space we create online, right? When we say space, it's like the space of the calls that we do in the mentorship program and in the mastermind program. It's like a Zoom call, but it's a container. It's an online safe space.
Yeah, a consistent safe space where all the faces become familiar. Everyone's intention is to unpack, reflect, process, share, learn what vulnerability is, learn how to build the trust within the system that they have, with the ability to make the mistakes because it's being facilitated. So it's like you learn how to engage with people on a level that you want to engage, how you want to engage, after you learn how you want to do it.
Right.
But first you have to unlearn the shit that you've been doing that hasn't been working.
Right.
And that ultimately boils back down to the integrity, right? Being able to say what's real to yourself, to others who are doing the same scary work at the same time. Because we don't just host play parties. Like we're not that. Our idea is to educate people who are looking for familial community, right? Like people before kinks to philosophy, and you are who you are before what you're into. There's no labels in the door. Everyone has a name, and we all have a value.
Yeah, we do name tags.
We do name tags
all the time, right? And I love that because if you have a name tag on, then you're part of the group for the day, right? And then you don't have to try to remember people's names because I can't and he can't,
So next is submissiveness. This can be taught or an inherent personality trait. This is the need to please others, and by doing so, pleasing yourself. As well, it is the ability to give in, so to speak, to another's control and feel content doing so. Submissiveness as a learned behavior does occur in BDSM relationships. This usually happens as the submissive gains experience and thus grows in their submission. However, if a person has to learn to submit against their natural inclinations not to, then submission is probably not for them.
I would offer service for dominance in this whole paragraph.
What do you mean?
I would say the need to serve others, and by do so pleasing yourself is a portion of dominance, right? It's the ability to give in to a situation that requires your service and feel content to do so. Service as a learned behavior occurs in BDSM relationships. It usually happens that the dominant gains experience and thus grows in their dominance. However, if a person has to learn to dominate or submit against their natural inclinations, then DS probably isn't for you.
One or the other, whichever side.
Yeah, whatever side you're on. If you're trying to if you feel like a square peg in a round hole, trying to be something or do something that really isn't suited to you, then it's probably not for you, and there's no shame in that either. And it doesn't mean you're like banished. It doesn't mean you can't be in the community and enjoy, BDSM and parties and stuff. It just, don't try to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
Or that doesn't suit you.
Yeah. And that's the thing about coming into the community at first is social expectations. Mm-hmm. If you're a man, you're dominant. If you're a female, a woman, you're a sub. If like it's a whole nonsense thing that people project. Or if you're tall, you're dom, right? If you're short, you're a sub. Anyway,
that's pretty funny.
Trust. A submissive must be able to trust themselves. A dominant and a submissive must be able to trust themselves. Mm-hmm. The choices they make and be able to trust others. An overly wary or closed dominant or submissive will have a more difficult time attaining a good relationship. Being able to trust your instincts is necessary, especially when looking for a partner, because your instincts will tell you something is not right. Listen to them, because to ignore them is dangerous. Right. It is absolutely dangerous.
Yeah, no matter how many times I have this conversation with people, invariably it comes down to, and we talked about this in the mastermind program the other night, like the difference between knowing something as far as external information and having your own gut reaction, having your own intuitive sense of something. Invariably, if the information looks a certain kind of way, but you have intuition that counters it, in the end, your intuition was always going to be the right thing. In large part because maybe you didn't have all the information that there was to have at the time of a decision, but you thought you did, right? Invariably, intuition guides us.
Rarely ever is it wrong.
Right.
Even if the outcome, like if you followed it and it was wrong, later on down the road, that shit was right.
Right. And, wrong.
And that's all fucking subjective, right?
Exactly.
It's like, depending, it's subjective to our current circumstances.
Absolutely.
All right, so is this the other page?
The other page was the dominant qualities. Let me see.
This is it here?
No, hold on. Yeah, this is it. Good.
We read this though.
No, we didn't really read those yesterday. We blew through them and then blew them off. We didn't really finish them. We didn't really go through them.
Oh, okay, I see where we're at. Okay.
Yeah.
So, being respectful when in public. Whether DS is solely for the bedroom or practice 24/7, a dom should be respectful of their sub at all times, but especially in front of others, unless otherwise stated. Being belittled or humiliated in public does not show respect, and that's just like.
Yeah, even from a management standpoint in restaurants, they always say, praise publicly and criticize privately, right? Like if I have something I need to call somebody out for, I never do it in front of people. But if I have something good to say, then I'll always say it in front of people, right? I think that's a lot of how that works.
Having a firm grasp of control and what it means. A dom whose life has passion, priorities, goals, and aspirations that they're actively working towards can be an excellent indication of a good dom. Self-discipline and self-control is an important aspect in the DS relationship. I would challenge both to, because what that says is the sub is flailing in the ocean and needs the dom who knows how to steer the ship to come and help them learn how to steer the ship. Right, it's like, but sub is flailing in the ocean and needs the dom who knows how to steer the ship to come and help them learn how to steer the ship. Right, it's like, but a sub should have passion, priorities, goals, and aspirations for themselves as human beings. Yeah. Right, and maybe in the DS relationship, the dominant helps support you to achieve those things, but they shouldn't tell you what your passion is. The submissive does not have to be aimless in life. Right. All right, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole real quick. Everyone's fucking aimless in life at some point, right? Just because the person's the dominant doesn't mean they got their shit together. Right. It just means they're probably a little afraid to be vulnerable, so they need a little more control. And then it's like the submissive, if a person says, I'm submissive, it's like, do you walk into a room and do you hand your leash to anyone? Because if you do, it's not submission, you have self-esteem issues. Because you're looking for someone to see value in you, and it's all external and it's not there. Right. It's like you can be you be a strong person. Be someone that you are worth having on the team, and that you are worth having the team. Like that you're both coming up to bat 100. Not 50-50, like you're doing your work, you're doing the reflection, you're doing the education, you're building up your own tool set so that you can work with someone else's advanced tool set or advancing tool set versus us having to help someone
Right.
through it, right? And
Right.
that comes back to the codependence thing on it. Sorry.
No, but that's a good rabbit hole, right? Like I agree. Like it's important to understand that being in a dynamic doesn't obviate anyone from standing on their own 2 feet as a human being.
Keeping promises. Being a Dom is all about responsibility. If a Dom proves that they can stick to their word, be reliable and accountable, this is a great sign. I see what's happening here. The submissive who's looking for a dominant is reading this and saying, these are signs.
These are the value, right, what you would look for in a good dominant. But a lot of them are
that you can switch.
Right, exactly.
Because listen, if the sub's unreliable,
what are we doing?
I'm not trying to fucking house break you. How old are you? Right? Yeah, listen. How, are we not adults here?
Right, exactly.
Sharing kinks. While this one is subjective, the success of a DS relationship depends on whether both partners are actively interested in and intrigued by the same kinds of kink desires and exploration. Professional opinion. Almost everyone is into the same shit. It's just in varying degrees. Right? Just because you like spanking doesn't mean you have to like the whole range of spanking. It could just mean you like the sensual type of spanking.
Right.
And just that little bit.
Right.
But you still fall in the spectrum. Right? It's not an on and off switch. But sharing kinks is important because...
Absolutely. And the thing that comes to mind, you'll hear me on very rare occasions say something that my dad said. Occasionally he had a few good things. He used to say, we are different enough as people that to be in relationships with others, having as many things in common as we can is a benefit, right? Because just as being, either men or women, dominant or submissive, whatever, we have enough differences just coming into it. So that whole opposites attract thing, the idea that like someone should be so different than you, it just makes for more things to have to navigate and figure out. Like having things in common is a good thing.
Missy just gave me another mind-breaking question that we're going to put into the intensive.
Oh, okay.
Missy said, self-esteem is so very important in this lifestyle. And that, in my mind, said, how do you build self-esteem?
That's a good question.
Because if you don't, how do you get it?
Right.
And that, because...
Well, a lot of what we do is build self-esteem, right?
But
knowing
the
who
idea
you are
behind
and knowing your value build self-esteem.
Behind the question
Right.
is to ask someone you have to reflect on your positives.
Yes.
Like you have to do it, if you have to do an inventory, if you're presented that question.
Yes.
And you can't not look at that question. Or you can, but then you're not doing the work.
Right. And I mean, in any kind of an inventory, you take measure of the good as well as the challenge, right? Or the opportunities, right? We're always looking for our opportunities, but it's important to note and cherish our good qualities, our strengths.
Confident in one's own worth or abilities. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a good one. All right. Being open to criticism. A good Dom will have a nurturing and compassionate side, and in this way, they're open to communication, be it praise or criticism. They're also usually very inquisitive and eager to learn and improve.
The good Dom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear the part where it said be open to praise?
I'm working on it.
I know.
Bad Dom.
I know.
Creativity. Some may argue that taking on the role of Dom is an art form. A good Dom will be inspiring, creative, fun, and playful. They'll also realize that there's always room for growth, improvement, and new and innovative ways in which to enjoy the DS relationship. Creativity's hard. If you're a person that needs to be cued, I'm not the most creative person. I can be artistic, but I'm not creative in that. How am I creative?
You're creative 100 ways
How am I creative?
from Sunday. You think things up. I've watched you every time you do a session. I don't know, and then 30 minutes out, all of a sudden you dream up an entire thing that you're going to do because of everything crystallizes. That's creativity.
That doesn't come from me.
It's creativity. Whether it comes from you or it comes from the universe or wherever it comes from, it's still creativity that's coming through you.
But this takes initiative, and I don't have initiative like that. Like that's why I don't have so much protocol. I don't have so many rules. It's like, listen.
What was it?
Be open to praise. Yes, ma'am. It's like I have to be cued onto these things because my mind doesn't work that way. And in some ways I feel less than, because I know there's other people out there, dominants, who can create these things, and they spend all these hours making these things.
And so what is that you doing? Comparing?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I criticize myself, of course.
There's a difference though. Like we talked about way at the beginning of the month. Like comparing does you a disservice.
100%. But it doesn't mean I don't do it.
Okay, that's fair.
Right. In some instances, I do, and that's one of them, because it's like that is not. It's like gift giving, not easy at all. It's very anxiety inducing. Mm-hmm. If you tell me, like, you need to tell me what, because I'm not gonna see you playing with your coloring book and say, oh, she's in her little space, let me take this, let me cupcakes, and she's like, no, man. I'm like, cool, you're fucking sitting down, you're not bothering me. Like, I can go fucking hang out by myself. Like, I'm not thinking about what I can do for you next. Right? It's hard for me to do that, and that can be difficult because some people wouldn't see that as a positive thing. Not enough attention. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't listen to the things that I say, right? So it's like, and this could be totally in my head, but it could also not be, and they could not be saying it. And it's legitimate, right? Because people like gifts. People like acknowledgement. People like to see that they're being heard. And that was something else that was spoken in here about, if they hear you, they'll remember these things. What about the ones that can't? Yes.
Yes. I agree. I struggle with the same things. So I appreciate what you're saying. I have struggled with feeling that I was like the least creative person in the room for years and years. And I've been brought to have to understand that creativity looks different for different people, and that we are all creative. And that platitude, I've had to get past that platitude to understand my creativity. Like, I am creative in my own way, and it's important for me to value that, because I poo-pooed it and dismissed it for years and years. You know, whatever gifts or abilities I've had, I've dismissed as not being as creative as other people's, and I'm not doing me or anyone a disservice when I do that. So some of it has been a discipline out of that kind of thinking for myself. I've had to discipline myself to stop thinking of myself as not creative, of the things that I do and offer to the world as not being creative. I've done it. I've worked at it, because people have been at me for it for a long time, and they were right.
So if you see me being creative in DS, point it out. Like the shot collar thing, but it wasn't my idea.
Listen, you just handed that to me. I will do that. I will point out when you are being creative in DS.
Cool. That would help.
Okay.
Because that's difficult.
And you'll take it. You'll take it in when I say it.
Well, I have to. I know the choice. It's
You
like
just
right
lay
there.
it down.
It's like, look,
Okay, fair enough.
It's like, here you go. Here's an orange fucking sticky note. You just dropped. Look. It's right there on the floor. You see it? Compliment. Pick it up. Put it in your pocket.
I love it. I'm gonna run around with sticky notes in my pocket and write them down.
Orange sticky.
Orange sticky notes. I'll put them right here on your forehead.
All right, kindness. One of the most important aspects of the DS relationships is aftercare. That is, after playtime, the dom will cuddle, talk to, embrace, and or make sure that the sub is comfortable and happy. This is a way in which to show respect and kindness towards their sub, and to let them know that they will not be discarded after playtime, but rather cherished.
Missy says, you adapt and make changes constantly on here, Joshua. We're all going to call that out.
Thank you, Missy. But learning your partner, I know Jackal is romantic. I am. He appreciates it, but can't execute. Maybe a bigger picture of your sidekick. Big picture of your sidekick would help.
I don't know what that means.
Not that guy.
Are you your own sidekick?
I know.
You're my sidekick.
All right. Understanding. A dom will wholeheartedly abide by their sub wants and needs. They will respect their boundaries and limits and tailor the relationship according to the sub's comfortability, willingness, and intrigue.
That's at both sides of the thing, to me.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
It's understanding. Like, understanding means, to me, it means, because there's a difference. This is my communication cycle thing, right? Like, I have something inside me that I need to get across to you, right? So it's I have thoughts and feelings about whatever the thing is, but I have to find language to communicate it, right? And if I use whatever language occurs to me to communicate it, you hear it, and then you translate it into some set of thoughts and feelings. If what translates on your side is not what was on my side, we didn't communicate and you didn't understand me. Even if you understood the words that I was saying, we walk away from an interchange with different ideas than we haven't understood or communicated. And sometimes this is where the language, like, tell me what you heard me say. You know, this is what I think I heard you say. That kind of language can help clear that up. Because a lot of times misunderstandings stem from the idea that you had an interchange and one of us walks away feeling like we knew what the other one was thinking and feeling, when in fact we don't.
Another part of that is, what if the wants or the needs are unhealthy?
Oh.
And the understanding is that we will talk it through. If you need us, hit us up. We have some family and from out of town for the intensive this weekend. They're just stepping out for the day. So anyway, it's like the understanding that we will sit and talk about shit.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Right? Because some of the boundaries are, maybe you need to take care of yourself in order to be with me. And by that, I mean mental health,
Yes.
medication, right? Health, all
Right,
that
whatever it is, yeah.
shit. All right, selflessness. A good Dom will not focus solely on their own needs and gaining self-pleasure or satisfaction. It is about making their subs' happiness and well-being a priority, and not acting in a selfish and self-fulfilling manner.
This exactly applies in the opposite.
Yeah.
How many submissives or people do we run around, you know, in sub frenzy and you know, at the beginning of their journey, and they want everybody to provide them all of the experiences, right? There's a selfishness involved with that, like as if everyone is there to provide you the submissive experience you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dom, it works from Dom to sub and sub to Dom.
Absolutely.
Selfless, nope. Intelligence. A DS relationship is not only about physical action, but oftentimes mental stimulation and connection. This is why so many Doms are highly intelligent. I'm not going to read that last sentence.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to read that last sentence. I'm going to read it, and if you guys agree, check this out. I'm going to read this sentence. If you guys agree, put red hearts. If you don't agree, put purple hearts. Intelligence. This is why so many Doms are highly intelligent and they seek intense mental exchanges. Look, TikTok's gonna kick me off with that dumb statement. 1 second, TikTok. I just got to line that little piece up.
Great.
There we go.
All right.
7 minutes. Thank you, guys.
There's a way to make the want need healthy, if not address the want need. Yes, Persephone, absolutely.
All right, highly intelligent. That's a classic. Self-awareness. A good Dom will be able to know their strengths and limitations. They have a firm grasp of who they are, what they want, and how they can achieve their goals while being open to learn and improve. Big deal. Mm-hmm. Both. And the firm grasp, I'm going to come back to, people don't know who the fuck they are. Like, we spend our lives learning or uncovering or rediscovering that shit, but no one fucking knows. Like, you're not turning 18 as an adult, right, and you're like, oh my God, I know everything.
No, listen, for years and years, you got some purple hearts for you. But I, for the longest time, felt clueless, and everyone around me looked like I felt like everyone had been somehow given a manual that they forgot to give me, right? I learned later that that's not true, and that I knew where I needed to start to begin my own journey of self-discovery. But for the longest time, until I had a clue, I just thought everyone else knew better than me.
They just knew how to fake it till you make it.
Maybe so.
Trustworthiness. In order for a DS relationship to flourish, trust is one of the most important factors. A Dom must also prove themselves to their sub, showing that they genuinely care about and respect them. In this way, the sub's safety and well-being is a priority to the Dom. And again, that's both ways.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I would agree that trust is the foundation of integrity. It's the foundation of integral relationships. It's a foundational thing.
This is Bad Girls Bible still?
Bad Girls Bible.
badgirlsbible.com.
Actually, this piece was not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but the majority, right?
Can you pull it up?
I don't know if I can pull this list up. I don't know that I have it open, and I'll go back.
We'll try to find it.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can get these resources.
Yeah.
There's been a ton of shit going on, so
it's crazy.
Please bear with us. All right. So a good dom takes responsibility, is emotionally resilient, leads, commands respect, communicates well, sets the rules, disciplines, ensures a submissive is cared for, ensures a submissive's needs are being met.
Yeah. The Bad Girls Bible has all this stuff in it, though. I just discovered that first. Literally go to that site. Hats off to the person who made that site, because there's so much stuff on it.
Yeah. And like when it comes to education, go everywhere you can. Get all types of points of view.
Yeah.
Take what works, leave what doesn't. Put aside the things that you may be stuck on and revisit it.
Yeah.
And then when you've hit your peak of all that shit, go back and start again. It's like you're always going to be seeing things through a different lens.
My mom's best friend and her husband both had terrible senses of direction. So that what they discovered because they love to travel, so they would ask people for directions until they heard the same set of directions 3 times. Go through all of the information on the internet and then maybe think something might be valid if you see the same thing described over and over again.
Yeah.
If you see an errant whatever and you don't see that like validated through any of the other research you do, maybe it's not as valuable a piece of information as the one that you see stated from different people in different places. That's more likely to be the important information or the valid information.
Yeah, always cross-reference information.
Correct.
Nothing is new. No, there's no stone left unturned. It's like you'll find it out there. Yeah. Missy, thank you guys so much for joining us. Everyone, have a good Labor Day.
Yeah, good Labor Day weekend. It's Friday, so the start of the weekend. Our intensive starts tonight at 5:30. If you're in the New York City area and you've been thinking about it, come on down. There's still a couple of spots open. If you needed to just drop in last minute, we can still handle that, or reach out to us and we can get you signed in.
Always free. What we're doing with these TikTok lives is we're going to be uploading them to our YouTube channel as well. We're in the process of that, making it a little flashy and doing some edits. So check us out there, kinkcollective.net. Touch base with us. We have a ton of stuff coming up in the pipes. We're really excited, and thank you guys for the support.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.